Hi, welcome back. I'm Baz. This is Sharpen, and today I'm doing a follow-up on yesterday's movie about the Wusthof knife set that was, well, wasn't ruined, but sharpened very poorly by another sharpener using what I can only imagine is a very rough sanding belt and no clue what he was doing. Sorry to say that it's not a good look to come down on your competition. Really, I should be focusing on me doing my own best job, but these things happen, and you found it very interesting, judging by how many people viewed the video. But so today, I'm going to put on my head cam and come back over to the bench where you can see what I've done so far and how I've prepared. I've done 3 knives, and I've got 3 more to go, smalls, and we'll do those now. This is the knife from the movie. You can see that I repaired that heel, and the knife is now beautifully sharp, reprofiled, beveled, and ready to go. I've even buffed up these bolsters with a satin finish. It looks great, beautiful. The gentleman's going to be very happy, and I know he's watching this, so thank you for the business. Now this one I've also done, and I brought the heel down, although it's not really that essential because as you're using the knife, your knuckles are going to hit the board sooner than this, so it's not really that essential. This is a carving knife. It's meant for carving into the roast, maybe working around the lamb joint, that sort of thing, but it just looks ugly, so I thought I'd take them down. I took all of them down. So that one's been sharpened beautifully, and this one is a very flexible filleting knife. Now I didn't take it all the way down, but I improved it somewhat, and again gave it a nice finish. Lovely, he's going to love that. Beautiful bevels, back again, super sharp. Now these 3 I haven't done yet. Now this one was a bit weird because it's a boning knife. You can tell because it's stiff, and I've got a reverse curve here that I'm going to have to climb down around the side of the wheel. I'll show you when I'm doing it. This one hasn't been sharpened yet, and you can see how he's climbed right up high on the sounding, and I've cleaned these all with Scotch-Brite, so they look much better now than they did before. And on this side you can see not much of a bevel or a ramping or whatever, convexing. So this top of this convexing area here is going to still remain probably, while I sharpen the rest of it and put a proper bevel on it. This one here, I took the heel down and rounded that off. I round off. I don't put the V back in because it's not really necessary, and that was just for looks. It's not really essential that that protruding heel comes down, but it looks much nicer now. I've also buffed up the handle there, and you can see that has still got the grinding marks from the sanding belt, and these were much worse. The Scotch-Brite does have an abrasive effect as well, so these are much worse than before, but I'll put a proper bevel on there. And of course the little paring knife that had an extremely protruding tip, and this was really taken down. These are much broader and sort of, you know, come out to about here. So I don't know whether that was like that before or what. I don't want to sort of overstate the damage, but it will look much nicer now when I'm finished with it. I've also brushed the handle there, or the bolster. You can see that, and that's going to look much better now. So I'm going to put you back up on the tripod. We'll say hello to Chili. We'll come back and do these 3 knives. Okay, so use the standard old style jig, and we'll do this boning knife first. I'll show you how I'll get in reverse like that. So once again, we clamp it quite shallow, about halfway, but with a bias to the tip. And this is a tough wheel, very robust, hard to sort of shape, not like the SG wheels, which are very easy to shape, but I've used the back of the grading stone, and I've held it there for quite a while, and it does eventually put a bit of a radius on there. And then I got on with the diamond plates, and the diamond plates seem to do a much better job of taking off the silicon carbide wheel. and I got a bit of a radius there. You need the radius because as I'm, come up close, so as I'm coming around, so normally I'm working on the face, but if I work on the face, I can't do that because it'll touch right on the heel there and then touch somewhere there. So in order to do that, I tilt the knife over and I use the side of the wheel to come up and do the inside there. Not that that's very, I don't know, is this necessary to come in deep here? Do people really use it like a gullet knife and use this part? I like to sharpen it anyway. And then of course the opposite is true here as well. And when I get to that side, I just come and climb up. I don't go all the way, obviously, but I try and climb up a little bit there. And we'll see if we can't get that done. Now, being a boning knife, we probably don't want it to be at 30 degrees because as soon as it touches bone, it's too, the angle's too narrow there and it will damage on the top of the blade. So I increase it a little bit, probably to about 32, 34, something like that, which for the new guys is total included angle, so 16, 17. I'm going to change this to 16 and a half. That needs to come down a bit. Still be very sharp, and I don't know if these really micro angles are going to help that much, but apparently they do. Knife sharpening is the oldest skill known to man, not to be confused with the oldest business known to man, the oldest skill known to man. People started sharpening things before they started doing anything else. So let's get started. Again, I've set this to 320, which is about 1,000 grit. The wheel is lasting quite a long time. For those who are keeping track, it's now down to about 143. So it started at 145-ish. So it's lost 2 mil, and I've probably done about maybe 30, 35, 40 knives, something like that. So it's holding up quite well. It's got a little bit of an oblong. You'll see it when you come up close. But I've been told that's because I'm leaving it in the water, which I sometimes do. And because these are sort of like, I don't know, glued together somehow, whatever, how they're combined with the ceramic, if it soaks in water, it can bulge a little bit. Don't know if that's true. You let me know if you know for sure. My viewers and subscribers are among the most knowledgeable folks when it comes to a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things from you guys. So, let's go. Now as I approach that reverse curve, I lift the knife. And it comes up on the edge. I'll just do it one more time and then I'll show you. Now also I heard a lot of crunching there on the side. I don't like that. That means that it's still a bit rough on the side. So I'll try and smooth it off with this. I don't know if this helps. I know my wood dowel sometimes seems to help. Try and smooth it off as much as possible, because the last thing you need when you're using a very small point of contact is for it to be rough as well. Let's try again. I'm really liking this black stone. It's very sharp. I don't have to regrade it all the time because the fine setting works fine. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Where's my cloth? Here it is. Okay, so you can see my work compared to the previous sharpener's work. I'm not going to be able to cover all of his stuff, but this is what it looks like when you come around the corner. Right, it's a little bit hard to be super even there, and I did cop a little bit of criticism for not finishing the heel, the closest part to the heel as well as I do my main bevel, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, That's what it looks like. And that's pretty deep cutting for just 2 passes on the 1000 setting. This is what I mean by how sharp this stone is. I love it. And this may be the only stone that I use from now on. Not sure, a bit early to tell. Let's try the other side. Nice and slow, nice and even. Once that reverse curve starts, we lift the knife and work that radius. A little bit crunchy there. I've got a burr along most of it, but we'll still keep going. I mean, obviously we'll keep going, but I don't mind running it back along there. It's harmless. Using my now infamous tip first technique, which I'm glad I kind of invented. Happy to give that to the sharpening community. And when I say I invented it, others may have been doing it for, themselves. And I think there is one guy who said, man, I've been doing that for years, which is great. But when I started doing tip first, nobody else had been doing it. I'd never seen it done before. I did it because I found that my tips were being very uneven. When you finish up like this, it's hard to know how long to dwell on that angle, and you're always getting facets on the tip. And I find that when I start, I can just smoothly transition down into the main section, and it creates fantastic tips. Going backwards now feels odd to me. I like to push the knife through. And there may be faster methods of sharpening, but I don't care. The economics is, if I was to be kept very, very busy, I'd be making more money than I could even expect. So we've got a good burr all the way along, so that's done. Only thing is, I would just want to fix that reverse curve a little bit more. Smooth it out if I can. Much better. One more on here to equalize. And that is repaired and looking beautiful again. Oh, my engineering eye tells me that this side is a little bit more ground than this side, so I'm going to give this side a little bit more. And when you can't tell the difference, it's probably good. Now another thing is, when I'm in here, I'm lifting the pressure. I'm taking the pressure off, because when you're on the side of the wheel, there's a lot of pressure on a very focused small point. You definitely don't want to be pushing in hard on this reverse curve as you do on the normal bevel and the normal blade area there. So let's have a look now. I really appreciate your feedback. Apparently you guys do like watching me do long videos. It's very relaxing, so if that's the case, and judging by the number of views I got on yesterday's video, it's up to around over 6,000 now. It's one of the fastest growing videos I've ever produced. That's not a short. That incredible 50 million view short was a whole different phenomena. But for a long movie, that's where the careers really come in. If you can get a lot of people watching your long movies, that's when you can relax. And my ideal would be, imagine if this was the case. I was making so much from YouTube advertising. Thanks for watching, the bits of the ads that you do. If I was to make so much from there that I could do free knife sharpening, then I would start to escalate up into the realms of the lawn mowing guys. Those guys make $30,000 or $40,000 a month per video, just for mowing lawns, doing landscaping. Yep, people like watching other people work. I do. So appreciate every view is my point. And every time you view, you can put a little snack into Chili's mouth. So that's what's happening. All right, so how does that look? Speaking of Chili, how cool is he at the moment? Oh, quite cool. The level of coolness in this dog. How chill is that? Look at that ridge. Magnificent. Chili. Thank you. Oop. Right, back to business. Now, let's have a look. How about that, eh? That's beautiful. See the reverse curve there? Nice. A little bit jiggity up in the top there, but that doesn't matter. Beautiful tip. Nice even bevel and nice reverse curve. Nice. Now, let's sharpen it to its finish. Couple of comments about how messy it is here. I use mess as proof of my existence, which is a perfect excuse for a lazy man. But I'm also fortunate enough to be super single, and so I've got nobody here that cares except you guys. I mean, it is nice to have a nice clean area, and what I'd like to do is rejig this whole set. I've got some good stuff and benches around the place. I could probably make this into a much nicer set, but I don't know, this is getting quite a cozy now. Kind of cozy. Now, one thing I've been trying to do when I'm honing is hone as little as possible. Just enough to get a clean fingernail run. See, that is clean all the way to the very top, a little bit more on the top, because that touches the apex as little as possible. And then with a quick run up and down on the kangaroo tail, that should be as sharp as a really sharp thing. Okay. Let's come over here. Well, first of all, let's test it before the kangaroo tail. It might be good enough already. A little bit catchy there. A little bit pulley. So yeah, it needs a bit of a touch. Oh, there's Chili in the background. Good on you. Come on back in. That's enough sun for one moment. Look at him. What a good boy. I'm loving all your comments as well. Really appreciate them and invite more. I spend plenty of time reading my comments and responding to every single one of them. So I want you to know that you're appreciated. Even the hecklers, they give me a chuckle. I don't get many hecklers. Let's have a look here. Oh, nice entry. Beautiful. All right. There you go. Pop that there. Sanitized with 90% IPA. Isopropyl alcohol plus a little squirt, a little bit of water, just a bit, just to take the edge off it, because it can be quite corrosive. Well, I don't know if it's corrosive is the right word, but it's very strong. So just softening it up with a splash of water. And then as a warning, to stop people from just grabbing the knife willy-nilly, they see a little yellow sticker on there. And by yellow sticker, I mean just a bit of masking tape. That stops them and they say, why is this yellow sticker on here? And that gives the owner a chance to say, hey, whoa, careful, they're very sharp. Very sharp. All right, so let's try this little utility now. This should be fairly straightforward. All right. Raise this angle back up to 30 or 15 degrees per side for the newbies. One of the best comments that I hear is, man, you've encouraged me to go and buy a T8. That's great. Like I've made a point of saying in previous videos, try and look around for a second-hand one. They're much, much cheaper, and you can often get a lot of jigs for free. That's how I buy all my stuff. Every machine, I've never paid full price for it. I buy some accessories and stones at full price, but that's because I need them. But keep an eye out for second-hand Tormek T8s. Leave the T4s. Forget the T1s and T2s. I've tried them. They're no good. They're very limited use for only very specific knives. If you want to do a proper job and have this machine useful for lots and lots of different types of knives, then get yourself a T8. You'll never ever regret it. And they're built like Sherman tanks as well. Honed by Jones had his blow off his desk while he was at a farmer's market. As he tells the story, he has a tight like tablecloth over his plastic table, and it caught the wind. It was very windy, and lifted all his machines and threw them on the ground. That would have made him gasp. And the machine survived. A couple of little broken jigs. I think this broke here because the welds on these are very, very poor. So he got them re-welded properly by a welder, and so that's great news. And I wish him well. Hope he's watching. He's one of my favourite sharpeners. We're watching a lot of Cliff from Curry Custom Cutlery. He is a magician. He's a belt sander, and probably the best belt sanding sharpener on Earth, possibly in the galaxy. But I can't, well, the known galaxy. I'm not really sure about the rest of it, but you know, he is a magician, and he sells parts too, so you could do worse than go and watch his channel as well. Cliff Curry, look him up. He does really fast work, and he's got so many toys. Alexandria, that's another one I love to watch. Of course, Outdoors 55, he's a star. And there are some that I do not enjoy watching as well. Well, we don't have to mention them. Some is more of a TikTok based audience, so you know what that means. Has to be super sensational in order to make it on there. There you go, got a bit almost, need a little bit more at the top. I like to think of my channel as the slow cooking channel. I'd love to record all my work, to be honest. And now that some of you have said, man, I love watching you, I don't care how long the videos are, keep making them, that's given me a boost, because the reason I stopped making videos about a month ago, not stopped, but paused, was I didn't have anything new to show you. Whereas now you're saying, don't need new, just want to watch you. Then that's good news. That's very useful feedback. So if you guys want to leave a comment and maybe confirm or deny that, or also tell me what you do want to watch. For example, one chap, how you going? You know who you are. Suggested more microscope, please. We want more microscope. So when for example, the other day I had trouble with a fish filleting knife. You saw the one. It's Not All Beer and Biscuits, that movie, and couldn't get a good edge on one of the martinis that was really worn out and thick. And he said, well, man, if you'd had a look at it under the microscope, we might have learned something there. And he's true. He's right. He's true. He's correct. It's true. All right, that looks great. Got good burrage all the way. Let's get that burr off. Now, there's no reason why you can't all replicate exactly what I'm doing. I never thought I was something special until you guys said, wow. But, oh, looks a little bit underdone and a little bit at the back there. Hang on a minute. Yep. We'll try just one pass on the honing wheel. And that's all gone with one pass. So don't overdo your honing. Chili still chilling. Yep. Oh, we didn't do it before, but it's always a good safe bet to get this onto the kangaroo tail so the ridges can dig out that root of the burr, any remnants of burr. Can hang around in between all the grooves. Let's see how that is. Fantastic. All right. Oop. Bring you with me. Sanitize. Wipey wipe. That's magnificent. Have a look. Nice big bevel. By the way, if you're wondering how I can get this close up to the camera, I'm using an iPhone 14, the big one, what's it called? Pro Max, on the 0.5 setting. When you go to 0.5, so you can zoom in on 1 and 2 and 3, on the 0.5, that's where the macro lens is. And you can come up real close to have a look at that. Free tip. All right. Yellow warning sticker. See that Spyderco that I did yesterday? I didn't have time to record a full movie, so I did a short. And the owner was the owner of the knife was the cameraman, and that was a harder steel. Can't remember now what it is. SVM30V, something like that. And it performed fantastically. This performed fantastically on that. I'd love to get some super steels. What's the hardest knife I can test on this? Tell me in the comments below. Alex from Outdoors 55, he talks about them all the time. And he's got a chart where it plots the hardness, and there's one right up here. I think it's got some numbers next to it, 1, 2, 3 or something like that, or ABC or something like that. And I want to test and see how good this Blackstone is, because I have a feeling that this is going to be a new superstar in the show. All right, finishing up on the last one now, the little paring knife. Often I can guess the angle. That looks fine to me. But let's just do a triple check. Yep, good enough. And again, these are all being done on the super fine setting, which saves the wheel. And it's a huge improvement in my sharpening style. I could probably do... Previously my record was 11 knives in 55 minutes. I could probably do, if they didn't need much or any extra work and they were just blunt, I could probably do, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 knives in half an hour, which is fast enough. I mean, how fast do you want to be? Who cares that somebody can do it in 1 minute? The only benefit that I can see is at a farmer's market, where you're charging not very much, maybe $5 a knife or something like that, and you're really zooming through them. But I prefer the slow precision, approach. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? That burr needs more work. So in the mornings when I wake up, I lie in bed, I pop my glasses on and I check all the comments, because when I'm sleeping is when America is awake. So I wait for all the Americans, all you guys, to wake up and make your comments, and then I spend my morning, because I'm a freeman, spend my morning having a nice slow start, checking all the comments and replying as fast as I can, but as meaningfully as I can. I don't always reply to every comment. Sometimes I just leave a heart, but you know that I've read it. You know that I've read it. No relation to that horrible platform, Reddit. No politics, they said, Baz. Rightio. Oh, a little bit more on the top here. You can see that I've got some silvering. I'll show you this because this is interesting. Where you can see how I have not apexed. So, come in close as possible. Right, see, and then see the silvering? That means obviously that edge hasn't even reached the top because it's reflecting light. It's reflecting light. Haven't got there yet. This side looks pretty good. And yes, the grain of the knife is a little bit rougher than we're used to on the SG wheel, which goes down super fine. But I think that little extra bit of tooth helps, especially when you're cutting tomatoes and things like that. And in normal cooking, I don't think you're going to notice. And plus, a lot of the work is done by the very top edge, which is, remember, it's ground down to about 8,000 grit on the honing wheel, right at the very end. That's where I'm getting my super slidey sharpness from on the Rizzler or Tally-Ho papers. And for those who don't know, the reason I use cigarette papers is that because they're an even 17 GSM, which stands for grams per square meter. They're always the same, always the same. If I'm using magazine or telephone or, you know, any paper that I have, or catalogs and that sort of thing, well, each paper is slightly thicker, thinner, is different. And so you can't judge a knife how quiet it goes through the paper unless you're using the exact same paper. And that tells me that used to be, by that I mean this, right? Used to be a very difficult test. I would never, most of my knives didn't pass that test, but now they all must. And I think that's a pretty high standard. It may not be hair popping sharp, but you know, I don't have the time to do hair popping. Hair popping is when you go really down into the finer grits. Although that's arguable, I suppose Alex would say no. It's all in the way you strop. He finishes at about 1,000 grit, I think, on his diamond plate. Which I have over there. And I should learn how to use it because that would be fun. And in the zombie apocalypse, there may not be electricity. So, although I'll be very busy as a knife sharpener, I expect, in the apocalypse. So, okay, there we have a burr everywhere. And don't forget, I always start on the back of the burr. So I feel for the burr, and the burr is always at the top. I never attack the burr straight up because I figure, and the way that it was explained to me was by Dr. Vadim, is that if you attack the burr straight up, it might break off too violently and cause more jaggediness. Whereas if you polish the back of the burr, it weakens the grip that it has on the knife, and when you go to attack the burr straight up, it comes off very easily. It almost peels off. So that was 2 passes. A little bit more on the tip. Perfect. Perfect. Who understands that reference? Perfect. You'd have to be old. Oh, I forgot to do it before. Never mind. Flip it over. I don't always flip it over. Let's test. Oh, great entry. Oh, a little bit pulley. Pulley. Great entry. Beautiful glidage. Oh, what a great ending. All right, that's it, we're done. Not you, Chili, you can hang around. See you, Chili. Oh, ears back. Mild bark. Something's going on outside. He is my everything. Man needs a big brown dog. So that's that one finished. Beautiful beveling. Great tip work. Now these are always a bit weird as they come into the thickness of the what's this called, the bolster or the finger guard, and slightly controversial. I round off that. So they come from the factory in a perfect V. I don't know if it's to make it, you know, workable as a knife at the end, but I just round them off. So yeah, very happy with that. Alright, let's arrange them and I'll bring you over for a look. And this is how I photograph them to send them to the client. And I grab a magnet and I pop it there and I send a photo like this. We'll go freehand for a minute. And I send them that photo. And they love it. I also put that on the, I'll try and line up the bolsters so they're all even. And I post that on my Google Maps listing called my Google My Business, GMB. And that gives, you know, a little bit more activity to the account. And also pop that up on Instagram, which I hate visiting, but, you know, people said you've got to be there. But yeah, so that is all of the knives repaired and good again. We're all happy. It's a fantastic result. Would you agree? Hey, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.